G'day ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me on this, my journey into the constraints-led approach for BJJ. My name is Sam Battlefields and I am your host on this journey. Today we started with boxing. It was fun, got the blood pumping. One thing I did automatically early on in the piece, so I think any kind of change to structure of the class or structure of what's going on needs to be set up front, and the reason being is because you want to get buy-in, right? So you don't want to be midway through and someone going, oh, why are we doing this differently? And then you have to explain it. So, and today's change that I noted from yesterday, mostly because yesterday we had a bigger class, there was more people. When we asked about the insights, when we asked about what they were struggling with, that kind of thing, what ended up happening was there was what could have been like a 2-minute chat with one, two or three of us, turned into like 5, 6, 7 minutes of chatting about something that was kind of a small part of what we're looking to do overall for the lesson. So I said to the guys, we're going to do the insights attention at the end. And that was pretty good. So as part of my 3-2-1, so 3 positive things, 2 things that could be improved on, and 1 thing that I'm going to do within the next 24 hours. As part of that, the attention at the end was a smart idea. I'll get back to that in a minute though. Second game, we didn't actually do a second standing game, and there's a reason for that. And I'll explain later. I was going to use the Kit Dale task-based games, but there doesn't seem to be a win condition for a couple of them, and so I want to work through them a little bit more. Plus, I wanted to get onto, we didn't really do much of the control/mount stuff yesterday, and because there is kind of a really good crossover between mount and half guard, in that you can sort of regain half guard, I wanted to do that. So the win condition was double thigh enclosure or knee in front of the hip for the person on the bottom. Person on top can isolate and attack arms, but don't finish the submission, essentially. So they ultimately, this was actually a really good game. Okay, it ended up showing that the work that we've been doing over the last few weeks with mount, so prior to half guard fortnight, the mount, everyone's mount, oh my god, it is night and day from 3 weeks ago. It's not only night and day from 3 weeks ago, but I just kept on sort of looking at what Ridwan was doing and going, man, his fucking mount is so tough now. Just everyone's getting the fundamentals so correct because they have to, because they know what happens when they don't. So, like, the elbows are so close to the body, the frames are off the hips. It's just really, really cool to see. Here's the thing. It was a bit of a struggle to get to half guard because people were really trying to stop that. But what I ended up doing, because we were trying to get to it, and what I could see was so Will underneath and even Ridwan underneath, they were having difficulties with where they were putting their attention, essentially. So they would particularly in this case, Will, not to sort of call him out, but in this case, Will, as soon as I'd kind of broken some of his frame, he immediately tried to protect it up in this, the upper quadrants of the torso, rather than try and get that arm back down to the lower quadrants of the torso, which then resulted in immediate isolation of one or both, and we went from there. And same with Ridwan in some way. He was kind of putting his shoulder too much off that 45, according to Aaron. And yeah, so there was a couple of things there that could be improved on, I suppose, from their perspective. And so I wanted them to have a number of variations of that. So we actually went through twice on that kind of round, and hopefully it resulted in some sort of aha moments. We then went on to, now originally I had in my mind that the person in at the top of half guard, they were just looking to get their knee on the front of the hip, and the person on the bottom was to make them sit down or lay on their back. But starting off, I wanted and here's something, all I wanted was early on, and you can probably go back to my early videos, and you'll find this, a video where Alex took a class and gave us this half guard task, and it was a continuous game where the goal was to get your chest on the person's hip from half guard, right? And there was a number of different things like that you had to deal with. One was sort of the arm across the head, with that kind of cross-face style deal, and it was a really good thing where you had to kind of battle it to get under, and then the person on top, they were battling to kind of face almost away from you, but by controlling the hips. The game for both myself and Aaron, who played it back then, has changed dramatically, and I could feel it. It just felt completely different. Still, the task outcomes were the same. The application and execution of the paths to get to those outcomes was completely different. And the feeling of being safe in certain spots just wasn't there. And it was really it was actually really fun to do. One of the sort of things that happened was Will kept on asking questions, and Aaron jumped in with a couple of extra points, and then I jumped in with like an extra demonstration that really I should not have done. I should have just been like, no, put your chest like as much on the hips as possible. That's it. That's your only goal. Put your chest as much as possible on the front of their hips, and then let them work it out. I probably should have watched it a bit more as well, because the kind of the outcome that Ridwan and Will did. Will wasn't going for the chest on, like, he was on top, but he seemed to be like just trying to keep that crossface and just keep that crossface and keep him flat. And it was like, no, you're both going for the same. You're both going for the same thing, right? So just one's on top, one's on the bottom. So in some ways, I think that the extra instruction, extra demonstration, which then led to extra instruction, really messed that up for them. But I do think there was still, in the end, a decent outcome from it. That's part of that. So just to go through a couple of things, as I said, we didn't get to go to that second game. As I mentioned before, having the insight chat at the end, it was really good. There was two things. So there was some very specific questions about how Aaron maintains his pressure, which was from Will, which was really, really good, because it opened up the ability for Aaron to sort of point out what he's doing, and I'll get to that in a second. I do think that it got them to look at kind of one major thing out of the day that maybe that was an issue, rather than all these little things throughout the day. I'm in two minds about it at the moment. The other guys the other guys in the community, they say that they don't have that insight stuff all the way through, and that's fine. I think when it's just 1-on-1 or 1-on-2, it is valuable. But when there's 3 or 4 or 5 and more, it gets to a point where the discussion there's too much discussion and you're not bringing attention to something. You're discussing strategy and tactics and that sort of thing, and it's just not worth it, you know. Another thing that was really ultra positive was the mounts, both defensive and offensive, underneath and on top. My God, the methodical nature. It's worlds above 3 weeks ago. Worlds above it. Yeah, it was awesome. And then when I was rolling with Will, I can't. There was something. Yeah, it was probably the idea of That's right. I put him in free rolling. I put him in mount, so he was on mount, and it was just so much tighter. I mean, eventually I was able to get out, but like just by Aaron bringing attention to these certain things, and again, I'll get back to that in a second. He was able to understand how to really make that mount feel dangerous. Like, it really felt dangerous. Things that I would improve. One is my external language and external cues and task simplification. I definitely need work on that. There's even more to that. Mainly because what I did with Aaron, when Will asked what Aaron did with his pressure, Aaron kind of looked at me and was like, can we go through that? And I was like, yeah, fucking oath. Like, this is the time to bring attention to where it needs to be. And he then went on to give a lot of internal cues, which I did my best to translate to external cues, and during which I found that I would provide an external cue and then try and like bolster it, but unfortunately would end up giving an internal cue from my perspective. So it was interesting, like to translate, work on the cue. Is this legit? Yeah. Anyway, it's something I've got to work on. The other thing I really want to do is with the boxing at the start. Is we're going to have to start wearing gloves. The reason being, even though we're not actually hitting, the reason being is the amount of times now that my fingers are getting jarred, because we are having to get faster, crisper, etc. But we're also defending. So they're shooting something out with your hand like that, and someone also blocking like that, you tend to catch, and I've been catching on arms and shit like that. So there's something that we have to look at, and something I'm going to do in the next 24 hours. I'm going to continue reading. I haven't actually read for a little bit. I had probably a week or two where I haven't been reading, so I'm going to get back onto that. So someone's also said that I should not speed up my videos too much yesterday, so I kind of sped it up a bit because it was like 33 minutes or something of me talking. I'll try not to speed it up too much. Part of the reason why I do it is because I have a bit of a laconic drawl. I also have a lot of pauses, etc., and I don't have any editing software and I'm no good at editing anyway. So thank you to the bloke who brought that up. I really appreciate you being respectful about it. I'll avoid speeding it up too much in the future. Obviously, this thing on the screen here, this is a joke. Sorry, up there. That's a joke. I mean, I am 100% male, but that's my audience. I was doing some analytics, so all you blokes out there, thanks for joining me on the channel. And I appreciate all the new subscribers. Hope to see you soon. If you've got any questions, stick it in the comments below. I still have not received any emails from any commenters. I'm keen to have a chat with anyone that thinks that they know more than me about it, and why the traditional approach is better. I'm keen to have that chat. Thanks very much. See you soon. Peace.